Billie Jean.
My lover.
She's just a girl who says, I am the one. Hello and welcome to the Quackcast, the Drunkduck Quackcast. I am Ozone Ocean, and with me are the beautiful people, Chancerine and Baines.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I had to sleep when you said beautiful people for a second.
My brain just starts going to all these songs.
Yeah.
There are so many songs. There's Melanie.
Yeah.
Beautiful people. They think the same as me. I can't remember that one. So many. Well, you are the beautiful people, and I have the privilege to speak with you and have you in my lives and see you on the videos, which is fantastic. In this video call, I'm able to admire these lovely faces. So we're talking about beauty standards, and how beauty is represented in comics and artwork and all this kind of stuff. How we measure, quantify, and think of beauty. How we can textualize it, and all these kind of things. But before we get into that, I have to bring up the featured comic. Quackcast gave us a feature this week, and it's called The Faceless Comics. So Quai, please tell us about The Faceless Comics.
Oh, speaking of beautiful, nothing more beautiful than a faceless individual.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is The Faceless Comics Set 1 by Dylan Tail Comics, and it is rated E for everyone. Here in the pages of The Faceless Comics Set 1 holds the first blueprint of a series of stories about interdimensional travel, an extensive collection of metal helmets, shrinking ray guns, love, and friendship. Meet the Faceless, Soundless, and Eclipse, the de facto good guys, as they go on epic adventures battling small fry like the Trash Can Hooligan and Nightshock. Watch as the Faceless takes on the greatest cyborg nemesis yet, Face Clone, while time-traveling within multiple universes. The comic is drawn using black and white line art. The Faceless Comics have inspired its own film series composed of real-life actors reenacting events that take place across the series. Navigate through pathways of portals into different dimensions and read The Faceless Comics Set 1 by Dylan Tail Comics, rated E.
And that was Quackcast giving us the lowdown on Faceless Comics. Okay, so now we're going to chat about the featured music. Kamala gave me the theme to Phineas Teen Wizard. Thrumming 80s groove, synthesized neon soft pink glow in the midnight blue fuzz. We're going back in time. Roll up the sleeves on your red leather jacket. Slip on your fingerless gloves. Lace up your high tops. Get on your BMX bike and pedal back through the decades to 1983. So take it away, Gun Wallace, with the theme to Phineas Teen Wizard.
Whoa.
the theme to Phineas Teen Wizard, which is a comic by Finamagic, and it's rated E for everybody. He's a really cool guy. Alright, so beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's the famous saying. No idea where it comes from. Sounds Shakespearean, but who knows? And it's so true. Every time you sort of think about that phrase, you realize how true it is. Beauty is a very subjective thing. And even though we can sort of think about beauty from like a pseudo-objective point of view, when we think, oh yeah, but there's like 9 people out of 10 will point to this as being beautiful. But normally that's because they're embedded in the same culture. Same time period, same country usually, or maybe in the same room, same town. So they all have the same kind of cultural reference points. So of course they're going to come up with a similar answer. It's not because it's objective, it's just because they have the same cultural framework in order to judge things by. So yeah, it's very hard to sort of come up with those objective standpoints when you can't really isolate people from those common values. But yeah, it's
And we also tend to think as something beautiful, something that is generally rare within a culture. Like, for example, in Greece, blonde hair and really raven black hair was considered the standard for beauty for women for the longest time, because most women would have brown hair. That's it.
Oh,
But the ones that had blonde hair or like super, super black hair, they would be considered. There are songs about women with that kind of hair, both types, because it was so rare. It wasn't the norm.
That's interesting. So what color hair did Aphrodite have?
I think she was blonde.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting. Because there wouldn't be very many, I don't know, blonde people. You can't really say that, can you? Like, there wouldn't be very many blonde people in the history of Greece because, who knows, maybe the people came from all over the place and genetically influenced.
No, there is a healthy, quote unquote, minority. Like, for example, Achilles was also blonde.
And Alexander the Great?
I think so. Like, if not super blonde, definitely in the blonde spectrum.
The famous mosaic of him is sort of blondie, mousy.
Yeah, honey, sort of, more or less. What we didn't have, and actually it was not even considered an option, was ginger people. We didn't really have like the iris red. There is the mention of like having red hair, but we really mean this honey coppery almost hue that is basically within the brown. It's like chestnutty, light chestnutty, and that is our red, quote unquote.
right.
For like a, I don't want to say racially, but people that have been in Greece for several generations, that would be the standard. So,
okay, oh, interesting. You know, that's very enlightening. Okay, so yeah, well, red hair is quite a rare genetic kind of trait. Anyway, it does it's recessive trait. So
Yeah, I was going to say that ties into your point. So many, I mean, look at American comics or whatever, or manga as well. A lot of redheaded heroines and main characters. Maybe not strictly for beauty, but I think standing out is definitely part of it.
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, those were the standards, and you could even like regionally place what would be the go-to in Greece. But again, for standards of beauty, there was, I think, in Hellenistic times or a little bit before, just around there, around this historical period, the most beautiful feature a woman could have would be a mono eyebrow, like the the two eyebrows being connected.
As one eyebrow. Like
Basically, yes.
Frida Kahlo, who loved her
Yeah,
monobrow.
exactly. That thing. That would be considered. That was considered like, oh my God, what a goddess sort of thing.
Wow.
um, which goes to show, like, if you now have a monobrow, I don't think that that's something you like.
Yeah,
So.
you tend to shave it, wax it, laser it,
Mm.
whatever to separate those things.
Yeah.
Okay, because it sort of gives people a frown
Mhm.
and a shadow in the middle, which gives them a bit of an angry look.
Low brow in a sense, like it low brows them.
Gives them a frown.
Yeah.
So that's why it can kind of be off-putting, but then again, people like unusual stuff as well. Because, okay, so one of the big things about beauty is how much you fit into a very vanilla kind of standard look. So if you fit into the vanilla kind of standardness in a really close way, that can be an idea of beauty because you're like, you're the mold, you're the standard. But conversely, it can be exactly the opposite. How much do you are you diverse from that? How much do you differ from that? And that can be a standard of beauty. The old idea of exoticism. So like if you've got very very light skinned people and a black skinned woman moves into this community, suddenly she might be like the epitome of beauty because she's so unusual and she stands out so much. And conversely, in a very dark skinned area, where you have a light skinned person and maybe they might get singled out just because that's so strikingly different. And this is a common thing, exoticism. People who are very different become very interesting to people in whatever way. I just use the black and white thing because it's an extreme contrast, but it applies to everything. It could be applying to, a community of blonde haired people and there's a black haired person, whatever. Red hair, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why the main character in manga has purple hair and everyone else is normally haired. This is the one. This is the one that you should pay attention to, and usually this is also the most handsome one, like the exotic bird, the tropical bird within the classroom, sort of.
Within the bland people, but yeah, as I say before, how it can be the other way when the most kind of standard person is the most beautiful because they are everything is just normal and not normal. Everything is perfect. I think that's the kind of way you would talk about it. Not that they are perfect. It's just that from that point of view, you think of them as perfect because they are the epitome of everything is standard. Oh my God, they're just they're the perfect height. They have the perfect curl to the hair, the perfect skin tone, the perfect facial structure. The nose is just the right shape. And in reality, they're just, okay, this is the most boring version of all these people put together.
Yeah.
And then you have that one.
Often, like in art, if you draw someone that is perfectly beautiful, you basically draw a very generic face. And it may not be the best for you. Like, you might want to give them imperfections so that they stand out and they are memorable.
Yeah.
It works. It works. I mean, that is the main thing that worked with Pinky in my comic, Pinky TA, because she had an angular face and because she had a big bumpy weird shaped nose, people remember that stuff. And people go, oh wow, okay, that's an interesting character. Oh, okay, she's got these big ear plates and all that kind of stuff, and the big pink hair, obviously. But, that nose, that's this kind of unusual traits that made her stand out to people, rather than giving her the typical tiny button nose and rounded features, big eyes and all that kind of stuff. You make characters stand out, you make them unusual, and that can work even better.
That's why also face scars are so popular in art, in the sense that they are sexy, because they are a blemish, they are a flaw in an otherwise like perfect face, or at least in an otherwise handsome face, and you have, the usual hero scars in art, because usually where are the scars? They cut through the eyebrow, or they are somewhere in the side
cheek,
of the face.
That
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Well, exactly.
Have you heard the story about Eric Roberts? He's the brother of Julia Roberts, the famous actor who was in Pretty Woman and all that kind of stuff, Mystic Pizza, various other movies. So her brother Eric Roberts was also an actor, and he just wasn't getting the roles, and the reason why, it turns out, was that he was just too pretty. He looked very much like his sister. He was just too pretty to really be taken seriously in the roles. And, well, then he had the terrible car accident. I think he was driving like a beach buggy or something like that. And he smashed his face up terribly. And he thought, this would be the worst thing ever. He's an actor. He makes money with his face. Now he's all smashed up. So he was really badly injured. He thought he'd never act again. They repaired his face and fixed his jaw, but it was always a bit wonky, and his nose was, messed up and stuff. Suddenly, he started getting all these fantastic roles, and became a real notable actor. And it was the mashing up of his pretty face that did it.
And he does plenty of stuff even now. He's got an interesting face. He's a good actor too, but I can see like where blandness would definitely work against.
Yeah. So there you go.
You see some of these lower budget like TV show, not even necessarily lower budget, but you see these like maybe lower tier TV series and some movies. I like horror, so I see horror movies. And you have these very pretty actors, men and women, or whatever. And you would never be able to recognize them in a lineup after you.
Yeah.
They don't go anywhere. It's like, there's this song by Chris Isaac, and he goes, you're a pretty face, you're a pretty person. You're the kind of a girl who's going nowhere. You're going nowhere. And yeah, you're right. You look at all these beautiful people in these low budget movies and stuff, and you think, wow, they're so hot, they're incredible, they're getting these roles because they look so cool. But you never see them in anything else. If they're lucky, maybe they start to make a history of doing these low budget films, but they find it hard to transition across to anything else because they tend to be so generic.
If you're lucky, they're a really bad driver.
What I have found, at least in terms of like when making a comic and stuff, is that if you want to make sort of quote unquote flawlessly beautiful person, then in order for them not to be generic and bland and all of that, you have to give them striking expressions. So you have to make them stand out just by their personality, so that they are memorable within the comic. even though the features are basically your standard features. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so like overexpressive, like super happy, or
No,
sad.
not overexpressive, just powerful expressions. And like, for example, take Martha in Without Moonlight. She is the most beautiful person I have drawn in there.
Mm.
Um, and she's like flawlessly beautiful. She has no scars. She has the Greek standard basically, and so okay, she does stand out because she's the blonde girl, but her expressions, at least I'm hoping, are intense. Like her glance is very like sharp, and when she glares or when she frowns, it really feels like she is putting emotional charge behind this frown. And her expression, she doesn't overexpress things, but there is a level of intensity. Like I'm not afraid of making her actually frown or actually cry, like no beautiful crying, just actually cry and actually scream and stuff like that. And I feel that this is what makes her more memorable than if she was just the pretty face.
Yeah.
So you
Well,
sort of bypass her beauty in a sense. Uh,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that gets more in line of what's beautiful in real life, like or in real people. When someone's like it's the way they behave and
mm,
what their personality is like and how their mind works and stuff like that has more appeal or adds to the appeal of just whatever they look like.
mhm.
Um,
Oh, I'm glad
yeah,
because that was the point.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And that's why, like, I didn't make the seductress of the cast. Iris is not the most beautiful one. She is sort of she's not plain, but she's bordering on plain. Um, but she is super sexy and she conducts herself as this bombshell woman. Uh, yeah, that
Yeah,
is.
well, that's an unusual thing, isn't it? In its own right, sexiness can be
Mhm.
apart from just straight out beauty because it's shown in a different way. Beauty can be just very simple. Sexiness has to be layered
Mhm.
in, yeah, there has to be nuances and things like that. It's weird. Like there was a Saturday Night Live skit with a couple of these actors. I think they were playing porn stars or something. I can't remember. Like it was a jokey thing. But one of these women who played this character, I just would find her incredibly sexy, just because she had an incredibly round features and big pouty lips, and that kind of just went in so kind of beyond like pretty or beauty and just went straight to sexy
Mhm.
for some reason. I don't know. It just like, okay, now this is a very sexy thing for some reason. And normally I
Yeah.
don't find, big round kind of faces, round features that interesting. But yeah, it was kind of set off those little bulbs. It's weird.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's sexiness, which is a slightly different thing.
Yeah. Sexiness. You don't need to be beautiful to be sexy, like at all.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
very
hurt,
true.
but it's not necessary. Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. And one doesn't bleed into the other because, yeah, you can be beautiful, but that isn't, that might not even set off that sexiness feeling because it might
Mhm.
appear to, I don't know, unattainable or
Yeah. Yeah, it could be.
re- repellent in a way.
You could have this cold beauty. Like there are certain actresses that I find gorgeous, but also cold. Like I don't want to go near them in a sense. Like they are very beautiful and perfect, and I really like the perfection that I see. But there is no appeal. There is no sense of like, oh, okay, I want to get to know this person, or I want to learn about this person in some way, or I'm attracted to this person. And I don't mean like sexually, because there are many kinds of attractions. But yeah, like for example, for me, this is Nicole Kidman. Like I find her super beautiful, one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen. But my God, she's cold.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman, Kate
Mhm.
Blanchett is another one for me.
Mm,
It's it's more like a statue person.
yeah, exactly.
Damn statue person is just not attractive for some reason.
Yeah.
I've seen Nicole Kidman. I know what you mean. Nicole Kidman's a great example. She kind of comes to mind. Like, although I've seen her in interviews and stuff though, where she's very shy and
Yeah.
everything, and it's appealing.
That
Yeah.
that that is like because perhaps she adds vulnerability. I don't know. I don't know.
I
But
don't know. I know what you
like
mean though.
hmm?
What? Sorry, what was that? Go ahead.
No, what was that? What did you
Oh no,
say?
I was just saying. I know what you mean though.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, I think that behavior adds nuance and context to beauty, and this called the beauty can become warm and attractive and stuff.
Yeah,
So there's that.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, as you're saying, the shyness would humanize something that would, otherwise be cold.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Absolutely,
no,
yeah.
that's she becomes approachable rather than
Hmm.
just this image of beauty.
And another thing that for me makes a lot of like is a perfect example of beauty morphing depending on behavior of the character. Um, so take Ralph Fiennes. At least in my opinion, I find him very handsome as a man. Uh, and one of the most handsome versions of him is in Schindler's List, that he plays the Nazi.
Yeah.
Um, so if you just see his image without seeing the movie, and you see him, he's a very handsome man in this movie, and you like I guarantee that you probably hate him and find him ugly by the end. Whereas the same around the same era, I think he played the what
English
some,
patient,
something. Yeah, okay, yes, and or the something gardener. I don't know. Uh,
the constant gardener.
or the quiz game. Uh, so
A
either of
very pretty fellow in Schindler's List, yes.
right, see, but he becomes super attractive and drop dead gorgeous in these other movies. So, and I find that he's an excellent actor because he makes you hate him and despise him. And when spoiler alert, when he is hanged, you cheer. So
Right.
there's that.
And you look at him now; he's not so such a pretty man anymore. Say in what was the movie a few years ago? The Grand Budapest Hotel. He plays a
Well,
far more sympathetic character in that,
Mhm.
but he's lost those the amazing look.
Yeah.
He was in this movie Strange Days. Did you ever see that one?
What, from
Fans?
1999?
99. It's about exactly. New Year's Eve, 99.
Quiz show. It was a quiz show, not a quiz game. Oh my god!
Uh,
Haven't
Quiz show.
seen it.
I forgot he was in that. I don't remember who
Yeah,
he played in that.
he was playing the player of the quiz show that was getting all the answers right by being told the answers in advance.
I thought that was John Turturro who played that.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Anyway, but he was he was in that. He was one of the two players anyway. One of the two main characters.
Okay. In Strange Days, he was really cool. He was like a little bit of a anti-hero guy. I think he was some kind of detective or something, or maybe he was even a petty criminal.
Mm-hmm.
He was somewhat of a dark character, and he was like super cool. Like I thought he was so cool, and I didn't even realize that I'd seen him in other movies when I saw that.
Nor did I. Yeah, I
Kind of a
didn't realize that was
chameleon.
him.
Yeah, he's super cool in that movie.
It
That's
looks
just
like,
a side note, but he's also very attractive, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like beauty is like a canvas. I think that you get to draw on it. Like after it is established, you get to draw on it more and either enhance it or
Mm.
destroy it, basically.
It is, and it's like you say, it's subjective. There are other things that influence your idea that you think this is beautiful just because of the things that surround it. So you have this illusion of beauty. Like this has happened to me when I was like dressed as my white duke kind of character, you know, with this tricorn hat, feathers, and 18th century coat and all that. And everyone's kept on saying, "Oh, you remind me of Lestat from
Mm-hmm.
Interview with a Vampire." And I kept getting that, and I was like a bit disturbed by that because Tom Cruise is very beautiful in that role, and I have nothing in common with Tom Cruise whatsoever. But people kept making that comparison, and I just keep thinking, yeah, you're going a bit far with the just because I've got the coat and you know like the scarf and all the kind of things that surround it, and you know the blonde hair and stuff. I don't actually we don't actually have anything in common. It's just that because you're taking all those things and you're thinking that now I match that and I don't. So that's a good example of people like being overly influenced by those external kind of things.
Yeah. And you see that's actually really, really good, because where do people really look to assess beauty really quick? Hair, clothes, and overall style. So if your style emulates a handsome style, like the style of someone that is handsome or beautiful, you are likely to be thought of as beautiful, at least in passing, like as a first impression.
Yeah, well, there's a good tip, people.
Yeah.
Dress fancy and people think you look fancy.
Yeah.
You could be a potato in a jacket and people will think, whoa.
Well, you know,
That's the best potato I ever saw.
Exactly. Like take a potato and give it like a blonde wig and false eyelashes and red lipstick, and it's going to be a sexy potato.
Yeah, it would have a movie career briefly before people realized.
Exactly like me.
No, I'm not talking about it. I'm talking like there's going to be a rule. What rule is it?
34, 35.
I don't know. The rule about the lemon fan art.
You mean the stuff that turns sexy?
Yes.
Oh,
With the sexy potato, like just because it has the signal for a beautiful woman, this potato is going to be the object of fantasy for
Yes.
some people.
Not
I
just
guarantee it.
to smash or mash, maybe.
Yeah.
Is it Rule 34?
Some rule, everyone knows what rule I'm talking about.
Yes. We don't know any of the other rules yet. We'll have to figure that out. Another episode.
You
But
got
that
the
one-
whole thing on the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So beauty, and we keep on mentioning blonde hair. Now that is just one particular thing of beauty, but every single hair color is involved in someone's idea of beauty. Like every single one, you can from black hair to white hair to grey hair to red.
Yeah.
Everything you can ever think of, to blue to
Yeah.
purple to green.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many iconic stereotypes, if you like, for beauty, that there's no end to the combination of beautiful shorthand for beautiful that you can have. So
Yeah, well, let's talk about cultural kind of ideas of beauty. So one of the biggest problems, I think, is the cultural imperialism of the United States from the last, I don't know, 50 years or so has become very dominant because, Hollywood is the biggest film industry in the world. Bollywood is quite large in its own right, and everyone has their own.
Korean drama now is starting to take over. Like, you get the Korean makeup tutorial a lot lately. So there's that.
Well, yeah, everyone has their own regional area, and very pretty Korean men. That's a big thing, isn't it? That's massive. But the Hollywood ideal has sort of spread that idea of not only American idea of beauty, but Californian idea of beauty, or even the Los Angeles idea of beauty. So that's a very, very tiny little part of the United States that's influencing the whole of the world, because most movies are made in Hollywood traditionally. So, and that's spread everywhere. Marilyn Monroe is a great image. A lot of people think, oh, she's an ideal image of beauty, but that she comes from that milieu from Hollywood. That's what spread her image, even if she doesn't come from Los Angeles originally. I don't think she does, but because she was made big in that area, and then her image was spread throughout the world from it, that's why, because they like to exemplify this particular image as beauty. So in a lot of ways, that American region has defined beauty for a lot of the world. But the point I'm trying to make is, okay, that is a particular idea of beauty, that kind of traditional idea that's come from there. It's almost kind of a Nordic look to people. Small noses, very tall people, quite thin, cheekbones, all this kind of stuff. There was a lot of blonde hair in those looks. And this has defined a particular idea of beauty, but then that excludes a lot of different ethnicities throughout the world who naturally don't have those features. There's a lot of people who naturally are not very tall and who are quite thick-set, and this is just the common genetic types in these different regions. People who have quite flat noses and narrow eyes and puffy cheeks and stuff like that, and that's not like an ugly trait or something that's unusual. This is just like a genetic trait in that region, in that ethnic type of people. But that doesn't make them ugly, of course. But because they can't match up to this idea that came from Hollywood, there might be an idea of some with some people, or quite a lot of people, that because these people will never match up to that look, they will never be beautiful. So so anyone within those communities who do have those American looks, who do have those smaller noses, who do happen to be thinner, who do happen to be thinner cheekbones, low body fat, then they will kind of be singled out as being beautiful. but they're not necessarily the traditional idea of beauty from those cultural ethnic groups. They're only thought of as being beautiful because they happen to match that Hollywood one, which I think is a bit sad. And that has
I
happened.
think it's very sad, honestly.
Yeah, you look at like people who say, oh, like, look at Lucy Liu from the 90s. She was this very popular Asian American actress, and people would say, oh, she is a great example of Asian beauty. But she wasn't. She was an example of an Asian woman who matched the American style of beauty, who matched that particular look. She's not necessarily the idea of, the Chinese idea of beauty from China or from, I don't know, Malaysia or the Philippines or something like that. They wouldn't automatically think of her as a beautiful Asian woman. She was just thought of as being a beautiful Asian woman because she happened to have those typical standard American features that match those kind of, I don't know, Nordic or Germanic traits. So
absolutely.
It's a long way of saying that beauty is very subjective, and it's transitory, and it's it's cultural, but it changes, and it can be influenced by tiny groups of various reasons. I guess.
And if you find something bizarre, like alien, I mean bizarre, it's unlikely that initially, and I stress the initially part, that you will find it beautiful. Like things that, for example, standards of beauty that are very tribal, for example, like having a really tall neck, or having huge ear plates, or that thing with the bottom lip that was the case with certain tribes. I don't remember which ones, unfortunately. So for someone that is not of that culture and has never seen this before, they are unlikely to find it beautiful. And then if they are also considering themselves like superior to the tribe, like, oh, we are the civilized ones that come to the heathens. And so this bizarreness translates into ugliness as well. So they are then unlikely to find this beautiful because they do not want to immerse themselves in this culture and learn to see through that prism, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's also that. So
oh, very much so. It's very, very interesting. It's fascinating, these different ideas of beauty and how non-objective they are. I can't remember who it was. I mean, we did start off with talking about this this plastic surgeon who defined this idea of what is beautiful. These pop sci books that come from the United States. I mean, not to badmouth. The United States is great. I love the pop culture stuff that comes from there. It's very interesting. It's lightning. It's fun, but it happens to be the most dominant power, so it is open to this criticism because these things do come from there. And there was this plastic surgeon who wrote this book, which was all about how he thought of the way you can scientifically quantify beauty. Because he's a plastic surgeon and that's his job. He's meant to make people look beautiful. But in reality, no, that's not what a plastic surgeon does. A cosmetic surgeon, I should say. What they do is try and make people fit in with a standard look, the most standard possible. They take away the way they divert from the norm and make them the norm purely. And through his mistaken idea of beauty, he created this whole book about this way you can define and quantify beauty. And it's based on symmetry. So You have these things with small noses and large eyes and stuff like that. And then you just add symmetry to them. Define cheekbones, and then cheekbones have to be exactly the same, and the nostrils should be the same as,
Yeah. The thing is that if you make an actual human face exactly symmetrical, then it becomes uncanny valley.
Yeah, I do it all the time in my drawings. So if I'm having because I just cannot draw symmetry very well when I draw. And when I'm drawing faces straight on, I just give up after a while. Sometimes I crack on and I try and make it as good as possible, just freehand. But other times I just give up and go, okay, delete that side, copy this side, paste it over, flip it, make a symmetrical face. And it always looks terrible. It looks too alien, too robotic. So then what I have to do is like rub out this, rub out that, and introduce asymmetry. And that makes it look more beautiful. It's weird. It's just incredible the way that happens.
Interesting. Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we are not actually symmetrical. We give the illusion of symmetry, but we don't really have it.
Well,
So.
yeah, it's weird. I mean, hair is something that's not symmetrical. And that is a major kind of framer of people's faces and heads. Yeah, and it's almost impossible to have symmetrical hair. You can do it. You can have wigs and you can have very complicated styling, but why would you? Because it just doesn't improve anyone's look. But most of us have our hair like combed to one side. And even if you had it combed perfectly down the center, I mean, that does start to look a bit weird. When people do that.
It's not very flattering usually.
Yes.
We do have one politician that does this. I don't know why she likes it. She looks like a witch, but not in a good way. I'll try to find her picture.
But yeah, it's and conversely to what this plastic surgeon guy reckons, asymmetry, things that make people interesting, and his way of doing, his the old get out is to say, but there are exceptions to the rule, and the exception is some of us develop like little quirks and things where we have tastes. And our taste is for this thing or that thing, and that's the exception. That's why some of us like weird stuff. But he just totally doesn't understand the concept that beauty is totally subjective in a layered way, which means it's not just individually subjective, it's historically subjective. There's all kinds of different cultural influences that play into building this up upon things. There's the personal, cultural, then there's this pop culture, fashion, and it all kind of adds up.
Okay, I'm going to paste it here. And I looking for her. I found her a picture where she actually doesn't part her hair down the middle, and just see the sheer difference is amazing. So this is how she usually looks. There she is.
Okay, so she's going for the Nana Muscuri look.
Yeah. Sort of, yeah. And this is hair without the part. So look at this.
Much better. Far better. It's incredible.
Isn't it? And this is like I don't know, she parts her hair like that, and then it also like licks the sides of her head. It's not fluffy at all. It's super like licked down around her head, and it's terrible. Oh my goodness. So, yeah.
It's like she's wearing a butt on her head.
Yes.
Interesting. I wonder if there's some kind of strategy behind this, or is it like a political strategy?
No.
Probably not. It's probably just someone's personal taste and they get stuck with it. That's what usually happens. And the picture of her looking great there with the side part is probably a stylist came in and said, look, you're going to have your photo done. We're going to do your makeup really well. We're going to do your hair really well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
I
did that.
can tell by the lighting. Like it's better lighting in that second picture also. And she's
Yeah.
kind of harshly
And then when she goes to do her hair
lit
again,
in the
it's
first
like,
picture,
I can't
but still
remember
the
how I
hair
did
is
it.
like
Bugger,
very
I'll
nice.
just do it how I always do it. Well, yeah, that's why we have stylists, because they're the ones who can tell us. That's their job, making things look beautiful. That's why that's why we love the way actors look. Actors look amazing because they have stylists. They're people whose very existence, whose years of experience and academic learning has all centered around the idea of making people look great. That's why actors look good. But when you look at most actors, like 90% of actors, in real life, when they haven't been styled to within an inch of their lives, do not look as exciting and interesting. Daniel Day-Lewis is an amazingly beautiful man in film, but in reality, he's a dag. He's horrible.
And the amazing thing is that some of them are not even recognizable. Like I wouldn't recognize them on the street.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Makeup and lights and everything. And you combine that with, if you're an actor in the 70s, like Eric Roberts or Mark Hamill or Harrison Ford, you combine that with a serious traffic accident. Gold. Maybe not for Nicole Kidman. She should take care of herself, but be careful.
Wang up your face a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got job for life. Jesus.
You remind me that all three of those actors had like serious car wrecks.
Mark Hamill, when did he have his?
In between Star Wars and Empire. That's why he looks so different. That must have been one hell of an accident because it actually changed his face. That's why he looks different in Empire.
Wow. Interesting. That really enlightens me a lot because, yeah, he's such a boy in the first film, Star Wars. And after
a couple of years will change your face, but I guess he also had an accident.
And hair as well.
Harris got his iconic scar on his chin because of an accident.
Yeah, he has. He crushed his Volvo, didn't he?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, you look at him in the first film. He has this kind of flowing, kind of natural look to his hair as well, which gives him that boyish look, gives him that boyish beauty. And after that, he has a very kind of like the hair no longer flows anymore. It just sits in position. He's a very straight fringe. It's cut very.
Yes. Well, Star Wars hair. Don't get me started.
It's a helmet almost.
Yeah. It works though. Like all of the in Empire, the hair is the best in those three movies. It's kind of like a little bit off in the other two. The first one and the third one, it's like, what's going on with the hair? It feels like either 70s hair or 80s hair. And in Empire, it's like it still works. Especially Chewie.
What's that? Oh, especially Chewie. Yeah, he's got it everywhere. The hair was one of the few things they got right in. I think it was the other stuff like Solo.
Okay.
And they also did it in a bit in Rogue One as well. So they give the characters that 80s, early 80s, late 70s hair, and it's
right.
Fits. It works. The hair is remarkable. We've done Quackcast on hair before because hair's a great subject. The hair plays into beauty. It really does. Or no hair. All right. So we've sort of reached the end of the hour, and Google wants to kill us. So for not being beautiful enough or being too beautiful, I don't know. Wants to smash our faces. Well, this has been a cool Quackcast, the idea of beauty. There's so much more we could talk about, paintings and that record different ideas of beauty from the past. Greek statuary, which is famous, Greek and Roman statuary, famously a recording of beauty in times past. And that is very contextual because, with all the paint removed, it looks totally different to how it looked then. It's such a huge, huge subject. But one of the things about beauty is the fact that we find things that look similar to us quite beautiful. That can be a bit of a factor, can't it? Which plays into doppelgangers.
Don't even talk about that. That scares me. I'm scared of gangs and gangers.
And those doppels as well, too.
Yeah.
Dopplers. All right, next week, that's what we'll talk about. Doppels.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for listening to Quackcast number 610 of In Ozone Ocean, and you've been beautiful.
Yes. Bye, beautiful.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.